It's Saturday morning. While drinking your morning coffee, you decide to scroll online through your favorite groups and check out the latest comments. You think that it's going to be just another day. You might be checking in on one of your grief support groups, or maybe even another type of support group that you belong to. It could be a group related to your own unique interests, hobbies, or one dedicated to your local area. At some point, you've either made a reply to someone else's comment, or you see that there are replies to one of your comments. So far, nothing seems out of the ordinary. But then you notice a reply to one of your comments from a name that you don't recognize. You don't think that you've interacted with this person before. You're not even sure that you've ever seen them in the group before. Their comment seems typical. Something brief, like "I agree," or "Me too," or even "Have a nice day." At first, you don't think much of it, but then, as the days go along, over time a pattern develops. More and more you see interactions from this new person. They may reply to almost all of your comments. Over time, this person begins including small details about their personal life in their own comments. Things such as "I've lost my spouse too," or "I've gone through a divorce." They may even offer you words of encouragement and compassion, in addition to hinting that they are alone too. They're suggesting that they are available, but not in a sleazy or vulgar manner. Up to this point, there hasn't been anything to trigger an alarm. Because of your own situation and the fact that they're also a member of this group, you think that maybe you might have something in common with them. After all, it is nice to be able to talk about these things with others who have gone through them as well, because we think they have a deeper understanding of the road we're traveling compared to those who have not gone through it. Over time, this interaction continues until they eventually reach a point where they might ask you if it's okay to send you a friend request. Or one day you'll simply find a friend request from them. If you don't accept it right away, they may mention it in one of your group posts and ask you why you haven't accepted it yet. And so you do, all the while thinking that there's nothing wrong with simply just chatting online. Now that you're friends, they'll begin sending you private messages. They may or may not cease their activity within your online group. One thing is almost certain though, they'll begin sending you pictures that seem to represent their personal life. Not just photos of themselves, but if you have kids, chances are they do too, and you'll get kid pictures. They may also send photos of their home. Do you have pets? You guessed it. Chances are they do too, and you'll get plenty of pet pictures. From the pictures that they sent you, you may see a person that resembles you in age. It appears that they have a good life, except for their loss or divorce. They appear to be financially secure. They might talk about a really well-paying job, or that they are serving or have served in the military. Of course, mixed in with all of those details are the comments about how lonely they are since their loved one passed away or they got divorced. And so, for a time, the conversations seemed to line up as normal things that grieving spouses or divorced people might talk about. For a time, conversations with your new friends seem normal. Then they may tell you that they have to take a trip or a job assignment that is, of course, work-related. While that's nothing uncommon, this trip usually involves crossing a border or flying out of the country. Sometimes from the States into Canada or into Mexico or South America. Sometimes it can even be across the pond to Europe. But because of the job that they have, you don't think too much about it. You may be told to expect some delays in conversation while they're traveling. Then you may reach some photos of wherever it is that they're going to. The photos seem legitimate for wherever this job assignment took them. And then one morning you wake up and discover that you have received a different type of private message from your new friend. They're in trouble and they need money. They don't just need $20 or even $50. Try adding a few zeros to the end of those numbers. They have probably told you that they need hundreds or even thousands of dollars, and they need it fast. My friend, this is where your alarm bells should be ringing at full blast. You've just been targeted and groomed by a scammer, and hopefully you've caught this video or the red flags before giving them any of your money. So let's break this process down so that you can really see the warning signs as this entire process went along. First, you were targeted by a scammer. So what is targeting? In the context of scams, targeting refers to the deliberate selection and pursuit of specific individuals or groups by scammers based on certain characteristics or vulnerabilities. Scammers identify potential victims who are more likely to be susceptible to their deceitful tactics. The process involves researching and exploiting personal information, behaviors, and circumstances to tailor their approach, to gain your trust, and to manipulate you into providing them with money, personal information, or other valuable assets. Being an active member of any online support group definitely provides vulnerabilities and opportunity for a scammer to target and then groom an individual for the sole purpose of taking their money. When looking for someone to target, scammers are specifically looking for the elderly, the older, single and lonely person who may also have limited mobility to get out of their home and who may have little to no contact with the outside community other than their online interactions. They also look for anyone who has lost a loved one recently, like a grieving widow or widower. They also target anyone who they believe may have access to higher amounts of money and funds, and who may be in a place emotionally where they are less likely to make good cognitive financial decisions. Your new friend may also be targeting others within one or many of the same online groups that you participate in. You may also have been targeted because many people, including scammers, believe that every grieving spouse has received a very large life insurance policy payout after the loss of a loved one. The sad reality is, for most, they either were vastly underinsured or may not even have had an opportunity to acquire life insurance. Likewise, many people, including scammers, falsely believe that with every divorce comes a very large settlement, when that too is often not the case. There are so many legalities involved in a divorce that by the time the divorce is final, many people find themselves very far in debt rather than having any extra money. After identifying or targeting an individual, scammers will then begin the grooming process, and this is not the same as personal grooming. Grooming, in the context of scamming, is the systematic process of establishing trust, manipulating emotions, and exploiting vulnerabilities to financially exploit victims. The grooming tactic often involves building a close and intimate relationship with the target over an extended period of time. Often, there are online and sometimes in-person interactions, such as just phone calls or video chats. The ultimate goal is deceiving the target, you, so that you will provide money or sensitive information such as social security numbers and financial account information. Grooming techniques may include flattery, sympathy, compassion, and the creation of a false sense of security, which, over time, can gradually lead the victim into a state of dependency and trust with the scammer. To help establish a false sense of trust with a target and to appear credible, scammers will often claim to have certain types of jobs that involve frequent, extensive travel. These job types help explain their absence during key moments, as well as taking into account the time zone differences, a multitude of brief private messages that they may send to you that actually conceals their inadequate language use. And of course, these job types help to maintain their image of having a secure paycheck and a secure lifestyle. Some of the common job roles that scammers love to use when they're trying to convince people like you to hand them your money are as follows. Number 1, international business consultant. Obviously, this is a job that requires frequent travel to meet clients or to attend conferences abroad. Number 2 is probably the most commonly used one, and that is an oil rig worker. Obviously, this job requires spending long stretches of time offshore. Number 3, military personnel. Scammers love to pretend to be deployed military, which can easily explain their absence with duty assignments in remote locations. Number 4, contractors or engineers. And again, this is a job that often requires extensive travel to various locations, often abroad. Number 5, doctors or medical professionals. Scammers love to pretend to be doctors, nurses, and other medical professionals because they can claim the need to travel for conferences, volunteer work, and other international assignments. And number 6, pilot or flight crew. Scammers love to pretend to be pilots, flight attendants, or members of the flight crew because they can use the nature of this job to explain frequent absences and limited and inconsistent communication with you. Now, it's important to note that while all of these job roles are legitimate professions that may indeed involve travel, scammers love to exploit them to manipulate and deceive victims. So you always need to remain cautious and verify all information before trusting any individuals that you meet online. Remember all those nice photos that your new friend sent you? Well, those photos are also part of the grooming process. In reality, the photos they sent you are not your new friend. They are all images retrieved online, just like I did, to use in today's video. Anybody can pull the same photographs to use, even you, even the scammers. These are just models or friends or acquaintances of the photographers who then submitted their photographs online to be used. The truth is, your new friend could easily look like any of these images. It's really hard to tell because you'll probably never see a photograph of the real person trying to scam you out of your money. The photos of that nice home and the kids, again, they're just random images, just like the ones that I pulled to use in today's video. The photos that I chose are generic but nice looking. They could easily look like your home and your kids. In reality, chances are your new friend actually lives in a foreign country. In addition to the setup, targeting, grooming process, and the use of fake job claims, here are some other important points that you should be aware of when it comes to scammers. Number 1, love bombing and affection. Scammers often employ a tactic called love bombing, where they shower their targets with excessive affection, compliments, and even declarations of love in a very short period of time. This rapid escalation of emotional intimacy is designed to make the victim feel valued and special, but it's also a red flag for potential manipulation. Number 2, isolation from support networks. Scammers will often try to isolate their target or victim from friends and family who may question the legitimacy of the relationship or who may be trying to advise caution. Scammers will do this by using tactics to discourage communication with your loved ones and by undermining your trust in others, such as your family, friends, and even members of support groups. Number 3, inconsistencies and excuses. If you suspect that you are a targeted victim, you should always be aware of even the smallest inconsistency within the scammer's story. While they may state that they would love to video call you or even meet up in person, they provide last-minute elaborate excuses to avoid face-to-face interactions with you. The excuses they use will usually be variations of claiming to be or suddenly needing to be in a remote location, facing sudden travel restrictions, suddenly having developed a serious illness, or a member of their family suddenly having developed a serious illness. Number 4, financial requests and emergencies. Once a scammer feels that trust has been established, they will begin to fabricate emergencies or unexpected financial hardships to solicit money from their victims. These money requests may start small, but will definitely escalate over time to more frequent money requests and increased larger amounts of money. Scammers often target those currently dealing with an emotional crisis, such as the grieving spouse, by claiming that they also need financial assistance to overcome their own personal crisis. There are many common scenarios used by scammers to trick you into giving them your money. There are also many variations within these scenarios. Some of them can include health and medical emergencies. Scammers love to use health and medical emergencies. In doing so, they are playing on the senses of empathy and compassion to help someone during a time of need. These emergencies can include themselves, a loved one, or a coworker, and some will even use a furry companion, say their dog or cat. Any one of these can suddenly have a medical emergency or serious health diagnosis that requires expensive, long-term, life-saving treatments, surgeries, and medications. Another scenario that scammers use is accidents. Scammers love to claim that they or a loved one were in some type of accident. Common ones used are motor vehicle crashes, work-related injuries, and even home repair mishaps. Now the scammer needs your money to help them with repairs, legal fees, and medical expenses. Another scenario is the good old-fashioned legal issue. There are many types of legal issues that a scammer might use to trick you into giving them your money. But some of the most commonly used ones are that they have been unfairly targeted and arrested by authorities. Oddly enough, this usually happens in a foreign country. Scammers will also claim that they have been wrongly accused of a crime. They need your assistance and your money for bail, legal representation, and fines. In addition, they can also claim that they have found themselves in an expensive legal battle pertaining to just about any situation that you can think up. And another commonly used scenario is travel issues. Scammers may claim to be stranded in a foreign country due to a variety of reasons that may include things such as lost or stolen wallets and passports, stolen belongings or luggage, canceled flights, and visa or citizenship problems. It all comes down to the fact that your new friend, the scammer, is going to have an urgent need for large amounts of cash just to return home. When it comes to inventing scenarios, scammers don't always limit it to just themselves. Oh no, they love to use the family crisis. Scammers will invent stories about close family members who are in dire need of financial help due to a variety of reasons, such as illness and urgent medical needs, job loss, and even elderly parents or siblings facing legal or financial distress. Another way that scammers try to trick you into giving them your money is to invent stories about job or business problems. Many scammers will claim that their own personal business or sometimes their place of employment is failing and that they've suddenly lost their job. They will try to say that they need to do an urgent investment to secure a business deal related to their employment, or they'll lose their job. And sometimes they'll even claim to need to invest a large amount of cash into their own personal business just to keep it from closing the doors forever. Unexpected debt and bills are just another tactic that scammers will use to try to get you to give them your money. Scammers will often claim that they are facing an unexpected and wrongful eviction or a utility shutoff due to an account, banking, or computer system error. Of course, the issue will not be resolved in time to prevent their eviction or utility shutoff, and the bank, utility company, and the landlord will do absolutely nothing to assist your new friend unless a large amount of money is received immediately. Scammers are so despicable that they will even use natural disasters as a way to trick you into giving them your money. Sadly, many of them like to pretend that somehow they've been affected by the disaster of the week, even if they've previously told you they don't live in that area. They'll come up with some kind of story and use current floods, earthquakes, fires, or any other current natural disaster to claim that they suddenly need lots of money very quickly for relocating or recovery. Scammers even stoop so low as to use educational expenses as a way to trick you. They will often resort to claiming that either they or their children need urgent and usually very large amounts of money for some educational expense. They could claim that there has been an increase in school tuition. They need books, or any other type of educational expense that, of course, needs to be paid for and paid for right away. And yes, scammers will even try to use the scamming situation on themselves and claim that they were the victim. Now they've lost a lot of money and they need your help to recover. As you can see, by fabricating these urgent and emotionally charged situations, scammers aim to create the sense of urgency and appeal to your empathy in hopes that you will send them money quickly without taking the time for thorough verification. It's important for you to educate yourself on these and other variations of their tactics so that you are able to spot and resist such despicable schemes. By understanding the concepts of targeting, grooming, and being aware of how scammers operate and select their victims. This can help you protect yourself and your money by avoiding falling victim to their fraudulent schemes. If you have reason to believe that you have been targeted by a scammer and you have been asked to give them money, number one, stop. Take a breath. Step away from your social media. Allow yourself time to think and to do some research. Number two, know that you are not alone. Many people every day are targeted by similar scams. Every day someone is actually convinced enough to send money. Scammers are very skilled at manipulation and deception. It is their job, and for them to be successful, they do work very hard at it. Number three, take time to conduct thorough verification and background checks on this new friend of yours before making any additional conversation with them. This can include things such as reverse image searches, checking social media profiles for inconsistencies, and even verifying employment and personal details provided by the individual. Go back and take another look at their online profile. Chances are it is relatively young. That is, perhaps it was created only within the last few months. There will probably be very little activity on the page. One person that targeted some members of an online group that I belong to had perhaps 5 or 6 pictures posted on their page. There were no comments of any kind to the photos. The profile was less than a month old and offered no additional details about this person. Another indicator is that the profile page is slightly older, but still created probably less than a few years ago. The majority of the content, if there is a lot, is actually blocked from you and others from being able to actually view it. And what little content is visible will likely be just a few random photos with no comments of any kind. While you're looking at their online pages or profiles, ask yourself these questions. Do they happen to have a friends list that is actually visible to you? If so, are there actually any visible interactions with these friends? Now, understandably, we all need to keep some things private, but you should be able to see signs of visible activity happening on your new friends page. Are there any indications of another language being used instead of English? Now, take into consideration where they say they were born and raised before jumping to any conclusions. I actually have several people on my page, so I see French and a few other languages often being used. But I have also known these people from a group that goes well back almost 2 decades. Scammers will often have limited or fake connections to help them avoid being identified as the frauds that they are. Anytime that something just doesn't seem right about a new online friend, feel free to become a spy. Google their information. Google their name, email address, and any other information that they've provided to see if it appears on any scam warning websites or forums. Do be cautious about clicking on any links, though. Do your research through certified and valid sites only. Feel free to be creative and sneaky. One lady suspected her new friend was a potential scammer. She used Google and the Street View function, and she discovered that her potential scammer's home address was actually a construction area for a new shopping plaza. Another lady discovered that her new friend's home address was actually a car dealership. Another thing that you can do if you suspect your new friend is a scammer is to ask detailed and specific questions about their life, work, and background. Genuine individuals can provide consistent, convincing, and accurate answers. Don't be afraid to do a little investigating before you ask these questions. One smart lady created a fictitious pizza shop near a college that one scammer stated that he graduated from. She then used it wisely in several conversations, and from that point on, the scammer quite often mentioned it as though he knew it very well, supposedly having been there several times a week for several years while attending that college. In reality, there never was a pizza shop at that address. The address that she used to trip the scammer up was actually a dental office and had been there for decades. It most certainly was a dental office during the time that the scammer claimed to be attending that college. If any piece of information provided to you by a potential scammer does not feel legitimate, you have every right to go do a little investigating of your own, especially if they have reached the point where they are asking for money from you. Trust your instincts. If something feels off or too good to be true, always trust your instincts and proceed with caution. Also, there are several reputable sources that can provide information and assistance regarding various types of financial scams, including those that target grieving spouses. Let's quickly take a look at those. Number 1. Federal Trade Commission. The FTC's website offers a wealth of information on consumer protection, including tips to avoid scams, reporting them, and resources for victims. They have specific sections on romance scams, identity theft, and other types of fraud. Number 2. The Better Business Bureau. The BBB provides information on businesses, scams, and consumer protection. They offer scam alerts, tips for spotting scams, and resources for victims. Number 3. AARP Fraud Watch Network. AARP's Fraud Watch Network provides resources and tools to help seniors protect themselves from scams. They offer scam alerts, educational materials, and a helpline for reporting scams and seeking assistance. Number 4. National Council on Aging. The NCOA offers information and resources to help older adults prevent financial scams and exploitation. They provide tips for avoiding scams, information on common scams targeting seniors, and they offer assistance for victims. Number 5. Internet Crime Complaint Center, or IC3. IC3 is a partnership between the FBI and the National White Collar Crime Center. It allows victims of internet crimes, including financial scams, to report those incidents. They also provide information on current internet crime trends and prevention tips. And number 6, local law enforcement. Local law enforcement agencies often have resources and information on scams targeting their communities. They may offer educational materials, workshops, and assistance for victims of financial scams. All of these sources can provide valuable information, resources, education, and assistance for individuals who want to learn more about financial fraud, protect themselves from the fraud, and seek help if they become victims. If you suspect that a loved one might have been targeted by a financial scam, it's important to take action promptly to help protect them from further harm. Start a conversation by expressing your concerns gently and non-judgmentally. Let them know why you're worried and encourage them to share any experiences or interactions that have raised red flags for you.
Be a supportive listener by providing a safe space for them to express feelings and concerns. Avoid criticizing or blaming them for any mistakes that they have made, because scammers are very skilled at manipulation. Encourage your loved one to share details about any suspicious phone calls, emails, or interactions. Ask specific questions to gather information about the potential scam and its impact. Offer information and resources about common financial scams, warning signs to watch out for, and steps to take if they suspect they've been targeted. Share reputable sources of information, such as the ones just presented. Offer to help your loved one report to relevant authorities, such as law enforcement or consumer protection agencies. Assist them in contacting their financial institution to safeguard their accounts and assets. Remind your loved ones to be cautious when communicating with unfamiliar individuals online or over the phone. Encourage them to verify the identity of anyone requesting personal or financial information, and to always avoid sharing sensitive details without proper confirmation. Continue to offer your support and encouragement as your loved one navigates the aftermath of a suspected scam. Be patient and understanding. Reassure them that you're there to help them through the process. Keep an eye out for signs of emotional distress, anxiety, or financial instability in your loved one, and be ready to offer additional support or professional assistance if needed. By taking proactive steps and offering support, you can help protect your loved one from falling into financial scams and assist them in recovering from any potential harm that they may have experienced. I hope that today's video was helpful to you, even if you aren't grieving the loss of a spouse, loved one, or an ended marriage. There seemed to be a sharp increase in people talking about being targeted by scammers in many of my online groups, myself included, so I felt it was necessary to do some research and share today's video with you. My hope is that none of you fall victim to a scammer, and that you found valuable information in case you need to assist a loved one who has fallen victim. Through education and sharing of experiences and knowledge, let's put these shameful people out of a job. I've been Sissy, and I am wishing you much hope, light, and love. Until the next time, my friend, take care.